I'm Dana K. White of aslobcomesclean.com and author of Decluttering at the Speed of Life. So I'm here to talk about family heirlooms, some of the most sentimental clutter that can possibly exist, right? And maybe not even heirlooms, but just what stuff do you bring into your home after the death of a loved one? I mean, it's tough, and it's really tough when you're the one cleaning out the house. So my husband and I went through this. I think it's been 4 years since we actually cleaned out his parents' home as they moved into an assisted living near us, and then his father passed away, and then 2 years ago his mother passed away. So we cleaned out the house where they had lived for almost 50 years. Everything that they had was there. They were not cluttered type people. They didn't struggle with it the way that I do, but they had a collection of stuff from all of those years. And obviously tons of memories were left in that. So we're kind of removed from that now. And so we're 2 years into the future from when his mother passed away, and we've, finally cleaned out her assisted living. But I think now is a time for me to talk about, like, what is it that we brought into our home that we have to remember them? Because when you are first cleaning out someone's home, especially someone who you love dearly, especially when my husband lived there, grew up there, had all these memories, everything's a memory, okay? I feel very confident saying that the fact that we had already been working hard on decluttering our own home really impacted how we looked at the stuff that we were tempted to bring home. Okay, so one of the things that I did was as I went and cleaned out the house, as I worked on the house, I took pictures of my own house first so that I could have a very realistic understanding of what space do I have in my house. If I'm going to bring something home with me from here, is there a place for it to go? Is it going to be something that I want enough to replace something that I already have in my home? So that is really important. If you are not in the moment actually going through that very, very difficult process, work on your own house. That will give you such a different perspective on stuff and what stuff means and how much you value it if you will go ahead and work on decluttering the home that you're in before you have to get to that point, okay, where you are dealing with a loved one's stuff. But my perspective now, 2 years out, I'm like, I was thinking about it and I thought, well, what is it that we brought home? Like, what are some things that we brought home? And I'm going to be honest, the things that have proven the most meaningful to me are not necessarily the things that I was thinking would prove the most meaningful to me. Number one thing that makes me think of my mother-in-law all the time and makes me just kind of feel smiley and remembering her, and also just makes me really grateful to have this, are these teaspoons. This is what we call them for like iced tea, when you're stirring your iced tea. I don't drink iced tea, but everybody else in Texas does, and they put sugar in it. And anyway, I don't know. My mom had these. She had the long-handled spoon, and that maybe they're actually called something else, but that's how I always thought of them, was iced teaspoons. And when we got married and registered and got silverware and probably multiple sets of it, this just was not a part of what we got. And so I brought home these, and for some reason I love these so much. Like, I love to stir my coffee with this. See how it like doesn't go down into the cup and you have all that. Anyway, I love these spoons. So we have, I think, 4 of these, and it is an everyday item that we have in our home. We use it all the time, and it brings back so many fond memories and makes me feel happy every time I use it, okay? Not what I would have thought would be the thing that would bring back all the memories, but I think it's important to think about, okay, what is it that, actually brings back all those good feelings, that it feels like you need to keep everything to have those good feelings. But if you keep everything and you bring it all into your house and you can't move around, well, that brings about really negative feelings. So that's why I'm just sharing with you which things bring about great feelings, okay? Another thing is this little vegetable pot, okay? Like I look at this and I think about my mother-in-law's green beans, which had a lot of butter in them and they were really yummy. But I mean, like I can absolutely picture her stove, this with green beans in it, simmering when we would come over. And so like this brings back all these great memories. And yet I just brought it into my house and it didn't take up much space and we use it all the time. And my husband pulled it out of the cabinet and went, "Oh, we have my mom's, pot, whatever it is." I mean, it brought back all these great memories. Like I love using this thing and it's high quality. It's a great thing. I don't know that I actually got rid of one when I brought it in, which maybe I should have, but it is useful in our home. We use it all the time and it brings back only positive memories, okay? But it's not that I only brought useful stuff into my house. So here is something. Do you see those up there? Okay. So the one with the pink on it, that, I don't actually remember the story. There was a story of why she loved this so much. Maybe my husband can remember. I can ask my sister-in-law. But this is something that she said, "Dana, I want you to have this because I know you love blue." And so I have it. It's small. I was able to bring it in and I did replace. So up there used to be this tray that I liked fine. And I think it had like some sort of a design on it or something like that. And she had given it to me. But this is something that she highly valued and wanted to pass on to me. So I one in, one out of that. One in, one outing doesn't have to be decorative pot for decorative pot. It just has to be space for space. So I took that down and kept this. And it's got a home. It's not taking up space that anything else needs. I love it. I don't know if I would have seen it in a store and gone, "Oh," but I love it because it brings back a lot of memories. And I know that she specifically wanted me to have this. So here's my point. This is just a quick video today, just to address the reality that sentimental stuff is hard. The stuff that used to belong to someone who you loved is hard. It's just hard to make those decisions. It's hard to figure out what to do with that stuff. But the number one things that I am so glad I have are things that had a space and are useful, okay? I had to remind myself, I had to walk around the house and go, okay, what else do we have in the house that came from them? And then I remembered about this and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, oh, that's right. And that has a space and it's fine. But this spoon over everything, and I know this pattern, that was her pattern that she had. I mean, I have warm, fuzzy feelings because every time I use this spoon, I think, I love that spoon. And it just brings back warm, fuzzy feelings. And isn't that the goal, as opposed to, aren't warm and fuzzy feelings better than the pain of a stubbed toe because your house is filled with stuff? So I know this is just something to start the conversation for you to be thinking about if you're going through this. And if you're going through this, I'm really sorry because I know it's really hard. But I just want to put it out there as something to consider. Take pictures of your own home before you go work in the home that you're cleaning out. And for everything that brings about a feeling, think, is this going to be something that there's a real space for in my home or a real use for in my home so that I get to feel those feelings? Because if I have a box full of all kinds of things that's sitting in my garage and I filled it with stuff that, well, that makes me feel something, that makes me feel something, but it just sits in my garage for 7 years, it's not bringing about any good feelings. Instead, it's feeling a whole lot of guilt and, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with all that stuff? But if it has a real place in my home, and especially if it has a real use, it only brings about the good feelings, which is what I want to have. Okay, I will talk to you guys next week.